7 clear strategic things you need to do as the year is coming to an end, so that as you enter in the new year, you will enter better prepared and better effective. Let's look at your spiritual life as a couple. Since you got married, has it become better or has it become worse? Has it become colder or has it become strengthened? What is your relationship with God as at this present moment? Your relationship with God must be very, very close as a couple. You must begin to ask yourself, our relationship with God, is it growing better? Are we praying more consistently? Are we studying more consistently the scriptures? Are we in any way subjecting ourselves to some certain spiritual sacrifices, things that, give us some certain days or nights for fasting and for prayers? How effective are we in aligning with God and His purposes? These are things you must ask yourself as you are going to the end of the year and another year is about to be. So spiritual clarity, spiritual alignment and growth is very, very important for the life of every couple. If you must make it as a couple, then your relationship with God must be very solid. And of course, you must ask yourself, are we aligned in God's purposes and values as a couple? Are we aligned in His purposes and values? I have seen couples who fight because one of them, who happens to be more spiritually edified than the other, is paying tithe in the church, and the other one considers tithe paying as a waste of resources, and they continue fighting every. So there is a lot of realignment that needs to be done in the life of such a couple. Just ask yourself, are we serving God with the life we are living? Are we serving God with this relationship? It is very important. It's a very important question, so that at the end of the year, you must be able to know what else you need to do in order to enhance your service before God. Because if you are not serving God and you are serving yourself, then your life will become like a donut, very fresh on the outside, very hollow on the inside. And that is not what I pray for you. The second aspect which you must consider as a couple as the year is running out is your emotional connection with one another. Are you emotionally connected as a couple? Can you, as a man, a woman, afford to feel vulnerable, open up, share your fears, share your needs without being judged or without being condemned or without being blamed? Can you afford to share it with your spouse? Are you free in this relationship? Can you afford to open up without being judged? Can your spouse keep your secret for you? Or do you finish sharing your secret with your spouse, and before you open your eyes, you discover that your secret is being shared outside with his friends or her friends? So these are things you must ask yourself within the ambit of this relationship. Are we safe in one another's presence? Or are we always suspicious of every move? I know of a husband and wife that are always suspicious of every move, trying to find fault with one another. Because they are always trying to find fault with each other, every one of them is not open. They are not open to themselves. Instead of sharing a secret with a spouse, the woman will rather go outside and find a friend and share it with instead of her husband. That is not right. As the year is coming to an end, you need to check that aspect of your relationship. Do we listen to one another without feeling judged, without feeling condemned, without feeling criticized? Do we listen to one another? Or are we always feeling that our own viewpoint is always the best and has to be told? That's the only one that is you don't want to listen to your spouse, you don't want to hear whatever he or she is saying except your own viewpoint. Have you become so controlling that you will not weigh the voice, the heart content of your spouse? Has it gotten to the level whereby you can no longer accommodate one another's opinion? These are situations that happen in marriage, and if that is the case in your own marriage, as the year is coming to an end, you must find ways of getting away from that wrath, fine-tuning your union so that it becomes a symbiotic kind of union where we take pleasure in being with ourselves, being with our spouses, where we take pleasure in understanding one another and enriching one another through fruitful conversation. You must also ask yourself, do we create enough time for meaningful conversations? I've seen people in a rat race, this rat race thing. You wake up very early in the morning, you go to work. or both of you go to work and then you come back very late in the evening, you nearly don't even have time for your dinner, and then you hit the bed the next morning the same, all over, all until the end of the week. And even at the end of the week, you still don't have time for one another. Do you actually, don't you think time has come for you to set aside a special time for you to converse with your spouse, to minister to your spouse, to listen to him or her, to understand his views, his content, to be able to weigh his heart in the Bible and be able to say, oh, I agree or I don't agree, or this is what I can do to make your situation better. These are things that wise and proactive couples do on a daily basis. And if you don't have that in your own relationship, time has come for you to actually weigh your relationship in the balance and be able to devise ways of bringing that to the table. Very important. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. There's a red button by my side. Once you hit the red button, you subscribe and you become part of this channel. As a couple, you need to weigh your communication and how you resolve conflicts. Whether you like it or not, as a couple, no matter how much you love one another, there will always be certain degrees of conflict from time to time. Now, what makes a quality couple or a great couple is not those who are conflict free. No, it is those who know how to manage their conflict and grow out of that conflict, instead of allowing that conflict to destroy their marriage. There are couples who, because of conflict, they grow from it, they learn from it. And you can only do that when there is free flow of communication between both of you. For whatever reason, I need you as a couple to check the way you communicate with one another. Communication is deeper than just talking. Communication can be done with a wave of hand. It can be done with a sign. It can be done in all manner of ways. How deep do you communicate? How well do you communicate with one another? When you have problems, do you go into a blame game, or do you try to check your own part of it, what actually transpired, or do you actually look at your own side and see whether you are actually the cause of this rift? Do you make up your mind to see how this thing can be resolved, instead of trying to point accusing fingers at your partner? These are things you weigh in the balance, even as the year is coming to an end. Because if you are able to sort these things out, you will enter into the new year with joy and with a lot of fruitful expectations. Are there arguments, repeated arguments over the same issue? Maybe there's something your husband or your wife had been arguing about with you. You have had numerous arguments upon the same issue. Hasn't it come a time for you to stop that thing you are doing? It could be you work late in the night. It could be, you are always more compassionate to people of the opposite sex. It could be, you keep companies you should not keep, or you indulge in certain pastimes you should not indulge in. If it has been a source of constant argument with your spouse, has time not come for you to stop that thing and then give peace a chance? These are things you must check as we are ending this year. What are those things? What are those habits? What are those vices? What are those areas that have been generating terrible conflict in your own marriage? You must also ask yourself, how can we be better communicators? How can we be better communicators? How can we make our communication clearer, more impactful, more edifying, more nourishing? The words you use can make a difference. The attitudes you display during communication can make a difference. Your tone of voice can make a difference. If you discover over a period of time that these have been your challenges, that even good things, good intentions that you want to communicate, that you have the tendency of communicating that in a wrong choice of word, then you must do a kind of appraisal about how you communicate with your spouse. Because whether you like it or not, that person with you is the one that is meant to stay an entire lifetime with you. So the better you discover, the more you discover how to communicate better with him or her, the better your relationship becomes. Because communication is the heartbeat of every relationship. If you get it right at the place of communication, every other thing will fall into alignment. And I pray that as you are looking forward to another year, that you develop better ways and better means of communicating with one another to the glory of God. One thing I actually want to say is the area of moral values, integrity of heart. Whether you have that character, that honesty of heart, is a very important area. One question you must ask yourself as a couple, especially if you have children, is, are we becoming better examples to our children? When our children look at us, is this what we want them to see? You must ask yourself that. And if you discover that by lack of accountability, by dishonesty, by lack of discipline, by whatever vices you have developed over a certain period, that you are no longer a quality example to your children, then something is amiss somewhere. You must find a way of addressing that situation immediately. Because the worst thing that can happen to a couple is when your child begin to look outside of your marriage, or begin to look outside of your person, outside of the parents, for heroes, for mentors. And that simply means that he or she does not believe in you anymore. That there are people who have more virtues, or who can give more than what you can no longer give. So at that point in time, you are losing it. So I want you, as the year is coming to an end, to ask yourself one definite question. Am I the kind of example that my child should see? If you can answer in the affirmative, that would be wonderful. But if there are some negativities about it, please address it right away. I see a whole lot of homes with a lot of drama, because I have counseled a lot of people, and I discovered that a whole lot of homes are being run with half-truths, dishonesty, terrible dishonesty, lying. All manner of depravities are happening in homes these days. Do you talk of men that are sleeping with their housemates? Or do you talk of the woman who goes outside of the home to indulge herself? Or, a whole lot of things that sometimes you begin to imagine, how are these people keeping tied in this marriage? How are they keeping to themselves? How is this marriage still being sustained? We have had a whole lot of things. We have had men who went out there, bought properties in millions and billions without the knowledge of their spouses. We have had a whole lot of dishonest intentions happening. So you must begin to ask yourself, do we have the integrity of heart to actually, walk in this relationship? Am I really accountable to my spouse? Am I honest with him or her? Does he know all there is to know about me? Have I imbibed the right virtues that will keep this marriage steady and strong? Do I have it? Or have I messed up this marriage by certain indulgences? I know of people who went into drug addiction, into alcoholism, into a whole lot of deceptive businesses, and they ruined their entire home and ruined their family life. So you must ask yourself these questions, so that at the end of the day, you can make some real adjustments in the way you run your life, and then become what God actually created you to become. That is the thing I want to say in the fourth one. Please, I don't want this very particular video to be too long. I wanted to give us 7, but I would like to stop here. In the next edition, if you are following, I will give you the remaining 3, so that we don't end up taking too much of your time. But I want you to put in practice, check out some of the things I've mentioned in this very particular edition. Begin to work at it. And when you get the next edition, which is coming very soon, just in a couple of days, you merge it and you can get a clearer picture of the health of your marriage and what needs to be done in order to make your marriage better. I want you, when you are stepping into 2026, let it be a step that is glorious, a step that is strong, and a step that fulfills destiny, a step that fulfills purpose to the glory of God. Thank you. And I want you to remain blessed. Till we meet again, have a wonderful time. But before you check out, look at this red button. Please click on it and get subscribed. I want to have you as a part of this wonderful channel. Have an awesome weekend.